We're binging all of Stranger Things for the first time in preparation for the series finale on December 31st. And in this video, I want to talk about how in season 3, the Duffer Brothers have heightened the violence, the gore, the amounts of enemies that we have. And in order to contrast that, they've also heightened the romance. As we work on stories that depend on drama and villains and violence and all those things, the longer we stay with the story, the more the stakes need to rise. And that can be very, very difficult for creators and for the audiences who watch the thing go off the rail. But the Duffer Brothers actually, at least all the way to season 3, which is where we're at, have managed to do it very, very well. And the way that they do it in this season is that they expand the cast, but they also have 2 different sets of enemies that are being fought. We have our Mind Flayer, which is the terrifying monster that we also dealt with in season 2. But now we also have the Russians. And it's a very cartoonish version of the Russians, how they were portrayed in the 1980s films. But just like in the previous 2 seasons, we have this upside down world that is a dark and terrifying version of the world above where our characters live. This time we have a mall, Starcourt, which is shiny and full of amazing stores and all sorts of delights from the 1980s, but under it, the Russians have built this huge elevator and this endless hallways, all of which are helping them open the gate again because they want access to the upside down world for very nefarious reasons, of course, because these are villainous Russians from the 1980s. So in order to really raise the stakes, our characters are now fighting 2 different forces and they split in different teams. But in each of the teams, we have love. Our kids are older, so now they really can fall in love, and our adults have been around enough to really realize that they're very much into each other. And it provides a great counterpart to everything that's happening. Love and romance is woven all throughout the story, and it helps us deal with just how much more adult the themes are. It keeps it a little optimistic to an extent, because as the season ends, our lovers are all parted from each other. They're still very much into each other, but they're apart. One of the most delightful ways in which the Duffer Brothers counter the heightened darkness of season 3 with also heightened romance is through the relationship between Joyce, played by Winona Ryder, and Hopper, played by David Harbour. It's unclear what their past is, and in season 1 they're like, oh, they slept together, didn't they? And I don't think that they slept together. The town seems to think that they slept together, but they obviously went to school together and they have a long history. And as the show has gone on, they have a much, much longer and much more complex history because Winona's son Will has been twice sort of the center of the drama around the upside down world, and Elle, who is Hopper's adopted daughter, has twice been the one who has stopped the drama. So they both understand very much what it's like to be worried about your children having to deal with these issues that are so much above anybody's maturity level, not to mention that of children. And this season opens with Hopper asking Joyce for help figuring out how to keep Eleven and Mike from making out all the time, which is what they've been doing, which is something you would do to somebody you really trust and who really gets you, right? We go to the people that we're closest to when we're trying to figure out our parenting conundrums. And then he really lays it all open by asking her out on a date. However, she stands him up. Why does she stand him up? Because, of course, this is Stranger Things. It's not a romantic comedy. And all sorts of things start happening that are really worrisome, that make her feel that their children are in danger. And by the time that they end up getting back together, not together as lovers, but just together as people who are trying to solve this great mystery, she's not even apologetic about it. He's so hurt. But she's like, look, our kids are in danger. And again, nobody would understand that better than him because they have gone through this journey together. And in the dual fight of the season, they are tackling the Russians. And they end up hanging out with Murray, who is the conspiracy theorist nutcase that is also brilliant and hilarious, played by Brett Gelman. And they're trying to figure out what's happening with the Russians. And Mary keeps watching them. And Mary, by the way, is responsible for Joyce's son, Jonathan, getting finally hooked up with his girlfriend, Nancy, because he was like, kids, just please, you want each other so bad. You have a bunch of shared trauma. Go on, please, go have sex. And they do. And he tries a similar tactic with Joyce and Hopper, but it doesn't work out. Of course, last time they were near a bed and he was going to sleep. This time they're in a car going to rescue the kids. So it didn't have the same effect. But it's funny because everybody can see just how badly these two people want each other. And as the season ends, so do they. I mean, Hopper has known it from the beginning. She was a little more tentative and now she sees it. And then they part. And they part way more parted than everybody else in the show because we don't know what happened to Hopper. But we sure hope that in season 5, they will end up together. Please tell me they end up together because I've been rooting for these people for a long time. One of the great love stories in season 3 of Stranger Things is between Elle, played by Millie Bobby Brown, and Mike, played by Finn Wolfhard. We have known that these two are each other's soulmates since they were children in season 1, but they've been separated by the many things that come with superpowers and monsters and saving the world. And now, as the season opens, they have spent a year together, and man, are they making out. They're teenagers and they make out and they make out and they make out, and it drives poor Hopper crazy. He can't deal with his daughter making out so blatantly. And he has a conversation with Mike where he's like, look, no, done. He was trying to be a lot more careful with the way that he was going to express it, and he was going to open his heart, but he couldn't. It's just not how Hopper operates. So he just scares him, and Mike is terrified that they're going to be separated, legitimately separated. So he ends up lying to her, saying that his nana is sick, and she, of course, knows that he's lying. And for her, from season 1, the most important thing has always been friends don't lie. She, who was lied to her whole life, is just so wounded. It opens up all this trauma when she's lied to. So this leads to her basically feeling very betrayed because she doesn't know why he lied. And it does something that I think is really useful for their relationship, which is that it sends her over to Max, Sadie Sink, who she had some rivalry with, but now she has a woman friend, a girlfriend. And one of the things that we know about love is that if you depend on your partner for every single thing that you need in your life, it's eventually going to wear out their relationship. You need your partner to be a big part of your life, but they can't be all of it. And it's a wonderful thing to watch her, for the first time in her life, have an uncomplicated friendship with a friend. We know that she had a relationship with 8 when they were very little, but that was a relationship built on trauma and under the auspices of the people that were controlling them. But now she gets to be a teenager, and it's beautiful, and they both decide to dump their boyfriends. I dump your ass, she said, because they feel that they've been lied to, but it's also because they're trying to figure out what it's like to be a young girl. Of course, it being Stranger Things, as the terrifying monsters that are after them, some human, some not, some Russian, some not, start coming together, Eleven and Mike must come back to each other because they have to save the world. And one of the things that happens upon their return is that she keeps overextending herself and overextending herself and overextending herself. And he's like, you are overdoing this. You're putting yourself in danger. And she's like, no, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And he's the only one who realizes what she's doing. Everybody else just has this belief that her powers are endless. But it is a moment in which their relationship really grows by distance, but also by understanding just how much their love allows them to understand each other's gifts, but also each other's limitations. You want your partner to protect you. You want your partner to be there for you when you're overdoing it. And he's the only one who can. And we'll see what happens in season 4. But of course, we believe in their love. Who doesn't? And now they're going into what will no doubt be even higher stakes and even more scary creatures to fight, with a much stronger understanding of each other and of their connection. In season 3 of Stranger Things, one of the most mature couples is Nancy, played by Natalia Dyer, and Jonathan, played by Charlie Heaton. Nancy and Jonathan fell for each other in season 1, and they got together in season 2. And it opens with them sleeping together in his bedroom. And not only are they doing that, but they're also working together at the newspaper. They're both interns. He's a photography intern. She thought she was a writing intern, but what she really is the coffee girl that they all make fun of. It's got these pretty villainous newspaper guys from the 1980s, like the worst sexism you can imagine, and they just keep pushing her around. And she stumbles upon a story that is, of course, very much related to the upside down world and to all the darkness that's happening, but they dismiss her horribly. So one of the things that happens to them as a couple is that they're both trying to figure out their career, plus also trying to heal from all the trauma that they've both experienced. And as she's being mocked by these newspaper men, she feels like Jonathan does not understand what it's like to be a woman and treated the way that she's treated by them. And then Jonathan's like, right, well, you don't understand what it's like to grow up without money. They both have these wounds and these experiences that they've had that are very, very difficult. And the other one cannot yet see them because they haven't. He's not a woman. She's not poor. And it's a big moment for them as they try to understand each other and can't. At the beginning, they can't. But then as the season goes on, and they who are on the side of fighting the Mind Flayer find themselves getting deeper and deeper into some pretty horrific situations and great dangers, they not only come to understand how right the other person was about their own experience, but just what a great team they make together. These two people who have been through so much and who have different blind spots also have different gifts and abilities that are not superpowers, but are pretty great. And they're able to bring them together in order to protect the children, in order to stand up for the truth, and in order to be there for each other. And then, because this is season 3, they too must part. And as they part, their careers are still nothing. And even though they figured out just what a great couple they are, they're not together anymore. So we'll see what they do to bring them together in season 4. Because we're definitely rooting for this team to continue to grow and emerge and get to know each other and save the world. The sweetest love story in Stranger Things season 3 is between Dustin, Gaten Matarazzo, and Suzie, Gabriella Pizzolo. The last time we saw Dustin in season 2, they were at the school dance and he had done his hair up, sort of like Steve, and he went up to ask the popular girls to dance, and they completely were like, ew, gross, no. And Nancy, who knew he'd had a crush on her for a long time, came and danced with him. And it was the sweetest, most amazing thing because, of course, Nancy is the popular girl, and here's the popular girl dancing with this younger boy. So we left Dustin hoping that he would find somebody to love because it wasn't going to be Nancy. So as the season opens, he has come back from summer camp and he tells everybody that he's got this girlfriend named Suzie and that she looks like Phoebe Cates, which for those of you who don't remember, though how can one forget Phoebe Cates, she is the beautiful, very sexy girl in the red bikini from Fast Times, and she's also in the Gremlins. She's great. She's fabulous. He sets up this whole radio tower app on a hill that he calls it Cerebro, which is brain in Spanish, cerebro. And he invites everybody to come up with him and talk to her and meet her over these radio waves, and she's just not responding. He keeps asking and she's just not there at all. So they all start to doubt a little bit that there is such a thing as Suzie. And then finally, on the last episode, they're in desperate need for someone to explain to them what the numbers in Planck's constant are. And that is a thing that very good at math people know. That would not be me, not good at math. I'm a humanist. But none of our characters know it. And he's like, okay, Suzie knows it. And he happens to be by his cerebro. And lo and behold, Suzie is there. And we cut to a girl in Utah. And she's in a very beautiful room. And look, she's got dark hair and dark eyes like Phoebe Kate. But she is the cutest, most adorable, nerdy girl. And she will not give him the number unless he does the thing. And he's like, oh God, because his other friends are there. And he's like, no, please, no. But she's like, do you want the number or don't you want the number? And then he does the thing. And they both go into the most heartfelt, beautiful, not hokey, I swear, rendition of the song from Neverending Story. And man, did I weep. It's such an unvarnished moment of joy and love. And the Neverending Story is also about a different world and saving this one and going off on an adventure. And it was such a touchstone for those of us who grew up in the 80s of hope and optimism and fighting against the monsters that are out there. And these two, they just nail it. And even though there's danger and they have to save people and they need this number very fast, you can see just how much he gets into it and how much she gets into it. And you can see that even though they're so far apart, they split the screen and we see them both singing it. these two love each other. So it doesn't matter what she looks like. It doesn't matter what he looks like. What matters is that they have a never-ending story of love, which, you know, they're children, so who knows. But it gives us a great sense of hope and a break from the darkness of all the things that have been happening and that happen afterwards. Thank you for watching this video on season 3 of Stranger Things. Check out our season 1 and season 2 videos, which are in the description, and we're starting season 4 today, so there will be a season 4 video pretty soon, and of course on January 1st we'll have the season 5 one. And let us know, do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about all the beautiful romance and how it helped us counter the very dark moments in the series? And also, what is your favorite couple? And are there some couples that I left out that I should have brought in? And please watch, subscribe, comment, and remember to stay big-hearted always.